Astonishment, empathy, and deep contemplation are the emotions that wash over me. After researching and learning about more than 100 Black public figures connected to the inner hidden corners and the veils of secrecy erected amidst the glamour of Hollywood. Hello everyone, we are our Memory Vault, and this is the video 25 Black actors who were secretly gay. This greatly impacts how we understand the invisible pressures of fame, as well as the price of living true to oneself, and it might just leave you stunned. This video is perfect to play while you are resting, enjoying a meal with your family, or doing chores around the house. All the information in this video has been carefully researched and gathered from multiple sources. If there are any oversights, please leave a comment below to help our channel continue to grow. Please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and ring the notification bell to receive updates on our latest videos. Now, let us step right into the stories of our first figures. Queen Latifah. Queen Latifah brings us a perfect definition of the authority and pride of a Black woman in the entertainment industry. Starting her career in the early 90s, she quickly established herself as an icon of hip-hop music, using her lyrics and voice to fight for feminism and respect. When stepping into the fields of cinema and television, she continued to conquer audiences with outstanding acting talent and a rare, dignified demeanor. Yet behind the image of a queen who is always strong and tolerant on screen, she built a solid fortress wall to absolutely protect her personal love life from the curiosity of public opinion. For decades, the media constantly surrounded her, and buzzing rumors appeared on newspaper pages, but she always responded with a silence, carrying the stature of a great figure, refusing to turn her love into amusement for the public. Through the lens of sociological analysis, Queen Latifah's silence did not stem from fear or an inferiority complex, but it was a purposefully established boundary of steel to protect the most sacred values. In a Hollywood world, always yearning to strip bare every private secret of an artist in exchange for mindless clicks, she deeply understood that true love needs to be nurtured in stillness. She did not want her life partner to have to bear invisible pressures from the world's gossiping tongues. For generations of audiences who have gone through many ups and downs, Queen Latifah's steadfastness evokes deep empathy. She proved that showing off affection in front of a crowd has never been the measure of a fulfilling happiness. The ability to clearly separate the stage halo from the peaceful hidden corner of the home is precisely the true bravery of a mature woman who knows what she wants and what she needs to protect. It wasn't until the 2021 BET Awards, when standing on the podium of glory receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award in her 50s, that she gently closed her speech with a deeply moving and fulfilling word of gratitude. Ebony, my love. Rebel, my love. Happy Pride. Just one incredibly brief sentence without loud fanfare encompassed all appreciation. Ebony Nichols, the life partner who had silently stayed by her side for many years, was finally honored in the most dignified and elegant way before the whole world. The story of Queen Latifah brings a priceless lesson in patience. Genuine happiness does not need to shout to be recognized by the world. Her greatness lies in knowing how to shine brightest in her career, dedicated to art, while keeping an absolute peaceful haven untangled by scandals, to remain completely devoted to her own home. Tracy Chapman. Tracy Chapman is an incredibly special case, a deep, resonant, and highly philosophical low note amidst the chaotic, noisy symphony of the entertainment world. When the rustic sounds of her guitar and her warm, yearning voice ring out through classic musical pieces like Fast Car or Talking About a Revolution, the whole world seems mesmerized and has to pause to listen. Tracy's music is not merely for passing entertainment. It is the authentic inner voice of working-class fates, a magnificent epic about human injustice, hope, and the burning desire for freedom. Even though her music is deeply political, pondering over social issues regarding her personal life, Tracy chose a completely reclusive lifestyle. She adamantly refused all labels that the media or society intentionally tried to attach to her, never publicly issuing an official statement about her sexual orientation. Because to her, art is for dedicating and sharing, while the soul is a sacred, forbidden ground. that needs to be absolutely protected. Despite always being discreet, those who deeply understand her life know of the beautiful, discreet romance that was profoundly imbued with intellectual harmony between her and the outstanding female writer Alice Walker, author of the literary masterpiece The Color Purple. Through the contemplative perspective of those who have tasted enough of life's flavors, the connection between these two great artistic souls is a highly noble affection, not needing tabloid articles or secretly taken photos to prove its existence. They found in each other a deep empathy, a peaceful haven to together nurture grand ideas for art and literature. Tracy Chapman's refusal to expose her private life is a stern message about a person's right to self-determination against a pop culture that loves to snoop. She proves to us that a true artist can use music to soothe the pains of humanity without having any obligation to offer up their love story as a tradable commodity for attention. To older audiences, Tracy Chapman's solid stillness is precisely the pinnacle of self-respect and pride. She taught us an invaluable philosophy amidst the noisy digital age. You have the right to love anyone your heart dictates, and you absolutely have the right to keep that love like a precious gem exclusively for yourself. Not labeling oneself does not equate to denial. Rather, it is absolute freedom, not letting anyone define who you are. The legacy of Tracy Chapman lies not only in immortal songs that stand the test of time, but also in how she lived a full, uncompromising life, maintaining the purity of her soul and protecting true love from the judgmental eyes of the world. Tracy Chapman's stillness protecting her love carries a proud beauty. But the decision that shattered all prejudices, shocking the entire hip-hop culture by male singer Frank Ocean. Right up next will surely leave you astounded. Please do not take your eyes off the screen. Frank Ocean created a true earthquake, a historic moment that completely changed the flow and awareness of contemporary black music. Back in 2012, when he was just a young man full of ambitions, while his career was on a brilliantly rising trajectory, and he was expected to become a new superstar of the R&B genre, he made a decision demanding extraordinary courage. Instead of holding a noisy press conference or seeking out prestigious magazines to sell his private story, Frank simply posted a highly poetic open letter on his personal Tumblr blog. In those moody and incredibly delicate lines, he confessed his deep, earnest first love for a boy. It was not a loud confession or a cheap PR stunt, but an incredibly sincere, fragile, and humanistic explanation about the purest first vibrations of love. Through a cultural, analytical lens, this action by Frank Ocean was evaluated as an unprecedented and highly daring turning point. It must be acknowledged that in the hip-hop, pop, and R&B community at the time, prejudices about standard masculinity, grittiness, and even underlying gender discrimination remained a solid fortress wall thought to be impenetrable. A black male singer stepping up to admit affection for a person of the same sex was akin to personally igniting the fuse to blow up his own career. Yet Frank Ocean's decision to open his heart did not destroy him as people feared. On the contrary, that ultimate authenticity touched the deepest compassion of the public. His heartfelt confession received profound empathy from fans and enthusiastic applause from veteran figures in the industry who recognized his action as a landmark push, forcing this conservative culture to learn how to be more open and tolerant. By breaking the glass cage of silence, Frank Ocean completely liberated the pure creative energy source inside him. From then on, classic musical masterpieces like Channel Orange or Blonde were born, carrying incredibly complex, deep emotional levels, going far beyond all boundaries regarding gender or superficial labels. Through the lens of human philosophy, Frank Ocean taught humanity a profound lesson about the power of absolute freedom from within the soul. By daring to face, cherish, and embrace his own truth, regardless of risks, he not only healed his own internal wounds, but also became a lighthouse illuminating the path for countless generations of young artists struggling to find their identity. He is the most vivid proof of the truth. True art, with eternal moving power can only be born from a heart that has no room left for fear or deception. Tessa Thompson. Tessa Thompson brings a completely fresh breeze, representing a generation of young, talented, confident artists no longer bound by the old dogmatic frameworks of the past. Her mark on the big screen through hit cinematic blockbusters like Creed or Thor Ragnarok always exudes intelligence, sharp personality, and an undeniable intense magnetism. Born and raised in a family with a rich artistic background in Los Angeles, Tessa was immersed in an open environment from a young age where difference was always nurtured and absolutely respected. Thanks to the immense privilege of a family education foundation full of love and understanding. Her journey of finding, exploring, and accepting herself happened in an incredibly natural and peaceful way. It completely contrasts with the tear-soaked tragedies and fierce internal struggles of many previous generations of Black artists. She doesn't have noisy, sensational declaration moments or media-shocking coming-out scenes because to Tessa, love is inherently a free flow of emotion, not needing to be framed into any definition or label. In a profound interview in 2018, Tessa highly calmly and gently shared that she finds herself vibrating towards both men and women, and she vehemently refuses to be labeled by society for categorization. The close, highly artistic relationship and soul harmony between her and the multi-talented female singer Janelle Monáe is always a topic of special interest to the public and the media. However, Tessa has never let those gossips overshadow her true talent and her increasingly soaring acting career. She faces all gazes with the calm, self-possessed attitude of a woman who completely masters her own life. From a sociological viewpoint, the self-possession and composed demeanor of Tessa Thompson is an incredibly joyful signal about the evolution of human awareness. It shows that we are gradually stepping into a brighter era where sexual orientation is no longer a sentence, a barrier hindering success, or a shocking topic to attract views, but is simply a normal piece creating the colorful diversity of human life. Through the lens of audiences from previous generations, those who witnessed so much pain from discrimination, Tessa's calmness is precisely the sweetest fruit traded by countless silent sacrifices of predecessors. She is living a full life, not needing to explain to anyone, not needing to justify her emotions, thereby affirming the most brilliant truth. Love in itself is already a sacred thing, and people have the right to enjoy it without needing permission from the world. Janelle Monáe. If boundless creativity had a physical form, it would certainly have to be Janelle Monáe. Right from her early days, stepping into the music industry, she built a unique artistic image for herself, refusing to be forced into any box of prejudice. Audiences remember Janelle through perfectly tailored tuxedos, a futuristic style mixed with nostalgic soul and musical messages, always ahead of their time. However, in complete contrast to an explosive artistic mindset and a desire to break all boundary lines on stage, Janelle's personal life was tightly locked behind countless layers of doors. For many long years, she kept her heart hidden behind elegant suits and highly metaphorical lyrics, leaving the public and the media with a massive question mark about the true person behind the halo. That restraint was only truly broken in 2018, marking a revolutionary milestone of maturity in the female artist's thinking. In a profound interview with Rolling Stone magazine, Janelle shed all defensive armor, loudly declaring herself a pansexual, those who are attracted by the soul and emotional vibrations without caring about the biological gender of the other person. With a highly proud and self-possessed demeanor, she defined herself as an absolutely free soul. Through the lens of human philosophy, Janelle's declaration is not merely about publicizing sexual orientation, it is a manifesto liberating human beings from the shackles of society. For older audiences, her message evokes a deep reflection. We often spend a whole lifetime trying to mold ourselves to fit the expectations of others, but true freedom only comes when we dare to smash those molds to live true to the most complex layers of our very selves. Since the moment she stepped into the light, Janelle Monáe's career seemed to be given the wings of authenticity. Explosive albums like Dirty Computer were no longer distant metaphorical artistic works, but became brilliant, colorful anthems honoring freedom, love, and pride. She does not hesitate to use her influence and platform to speak up and challenge outdated ideologies about human identity. By choosing absolute honesty with herself, Janelle rose from a talented music star to become one of the most powerfully inspiring contemporary icons. Her life is clear proof showing when an artist no longer has to waste energy to hide the truth, their art will reach the peak of transcendence, and the ability to heal humanity will also thereby become limitless. Janelle Monáe's brilliant manifesto of freedom brings much inspiration, but the burden behind the childlike smile of former child star Raven-Symoné right next will truly expose the cruelty of fame. Please continue to listen. Raven-Symoné. Raven-Symoné is a face deeply etched into the childhood memories of millions of audiences globally through television blockbusters like The Cosby Show or That's So Raven. Right from when she was a flawless little girl, Raven had to shoulder a massive weight of fame growing up under millions of camera flashes and the strict supervision of a top entertainment empire. Becoming a darling of Disney brought her privileges of money and fame, but simultaneously stripped her of the right to make mistakes and the right to explore herself like normal children. For a child star, the pressure to always maintain a perfect, pure image to please parents and sponsors is an invisible but incredibly cruel iron discipline. Raven once shared with much bitterness that she vaguely realized her sexual orientation from the age of 12, but in the cultural context of the early 2000s, for a teen star to publicly love someone of the same sex was an unthinkable concept. To protect her career and the giant money-making machine standing behind her, little Raven had to grit her teeth and bury her first romantic vibrations deep into the utmost silence. Through a psychological, analytical lens, having to continuously play a role on screen as well as in real life is a horrific erosion of the spirit. It wasn't until 2013, when the human rights movement made historic strides, that Raven was able to shed that 1,000-pound burden with a brief status line on social media: "I can finally get married. No noise, no tearful confessions." It was just a sigh of relief from a woman who finally reclaimed the right to master her own life. The journey of Raven-Symoné brings a highly ordinary yet deeply humane perspective to experienced audiences. She vehemently refused to be labeled by the media or have her story used as a political tool. Raven simply yearned for a peaceful life, getting to cook, laugh, and hold hands with her life partner, Miranda Mattei, under the sun. Her frequent sharing of everyday simple moments beside her wife is a way of normalizing the greatest love. Raven's life teaches us an incredibly profound philosophy. Sometimes, the greatest courage does not lie in standing on a high podium to scream about grand ideals, but it lies in the ability to calmly live fully every day with one's authentic self, leaving behind all the unrealistic expectations of the world. Robin Roberts. Mentioning Robin Roberts is mentioning a standard image of calmness, warmth, and reliability. For decades, her kind smile and inspiring voice became an indispensable part, waking up millions of American families every morning on the program Good Morning America. From a sports editor to becoming one of the most powerful female pillars of national television, Robin always built for herself a highly professional and solid image. However, behind the brilliant success and the smile always present on her lips, she had to quietly shoulder alone the fiercest life and death battles of a human life, facing the cruel disease of breast cancer and later a rare blood disorder syndrome directly threatening her life. It is exactly when standing on the fragile boundary between life and death that a person's life priorities are truly rearranged most clearly. Throughout the years of severe illness, the person who was always on duty, holding her hand tightly and being the most solid spiritual anchor for Robin, was Amber Lane, the life partner who had silently stayed by her side for many years. In 2013, after overcoming the scythe of death, Robin Roberts posted a heartfelt letter on social media. She did not use grand words to come out or create media shocks. Instead, the letter was a magnificent epic about gratitude. She sent thanks to the medical team, to her family, and gently, respectfully mentioned her longtime girlfriend, Amber. Through a contemplative lens, the way Robin Roberts stepped into the light is the pinnacle of subtlety and maturity. She elevated a personal story into a lesson about human compassion. When you have seen the boundary of death, the judgments of the world and the barriers of gender prejudice suddenly become meaningless and ridiculous. The only thing left in possessing eternal value is precisely love and companionship in times of tribulation. The life of Robin Roberts is an endless source of inspiration for older audiences, those who always value peace over the noises of showbiz. She proved that the truth of happiness does not lie in justifying or explaining to anyone, but it lies in the fact that we can smile gratefully every morning we wake up when there is still a warm embrace beside us to lean on amidst a life full of impermanence. Don Lemon. Every time Don Lemon appears on CNN broadcasts, people are always impressed by a resolute face, sharply tailored suits, a calm voice, and a highly incisive news analysis demeanor. He is the embodiment of a generation of talented, powerful black journalists who are uncompromising before the thorny issues of society. Yet few could suspect that to be able to sit in the position of someone specializing in exposing the truths of the world, Don Lemon himself had to carry a painful secret, hiding the truth about his very own life for decades. Born in Baton Rouge, Louisiana in 1966, Don's childhood was besieged by the dark shadows of an American South still heavy with conservative ideology and discrimination. Being a black person was already a battle for survival. Carrying a homosexual orientation turned him into an even more vulnerable target. From a sociological perspective, Don Lemon having to learn how to cover himself up was not just fear. It was a survival reflex of boys living in an environment where difference was considered a seed of sin. He carried that mask, gritted his teeth, and overcame all barriers to climb to the highest rungs of the journalism industry. A brilliant career was directly proportional to internal torments. Until 2011, unable to continue deceiving himself, he released the memoir, Transparent. There, he not only bravely admitted to being gay, but also exposed a red, raw wound. He was a victim of sexual abuse in childhood. That was an act demanding the utmost courage. A man who always appeared strong on the news dared to personally strip bare his weaknesses and deepest pains before millions of viewers. Don Lemon's decision carries a profound philosophical meaning for those in the profession of seeking the truth. You cannot demand the world to be honest if you yourself are still hiding in the darkness of deceit. He always emphasized that he did not want to be hailed as a gay journalist, but simply a journalist who happens to be gay. This bluntness not only liberated the imprisoned part of his soul, but also shattered prejudiced barriers, giving invisible strength to countless young people floundering to find their place in a society still with too much judgment. Niecy Nash Betts. Whenever Niecy Nash Betts is mentioned, audiences immediately picture a brilliant energy source, a signature hearty laugh, and a highly charming acting style capable of lighting up any frame. From deeply satirical comedy films to heavyweight psychological roles, she has always proven herself an outstandingly talented actress. Throughout most of her life and brilliant career, Niecy was viewed by the public as a standard of a traditional black woman. She went through 2 marriages with men, became a mother, and built a highly solid image in the eyes of her fans. That stability and familiarity made it so no one could imagine that hidden deep inside the soul of the woman who always brought laughter to the world was a journey-seeking identity full of quietness and surprise. In 2020, in her 50s, when society usually assumes people have settled with their fate and there is no room left for daring turns, Niecy Nash created a true earthquake on social media. She unexpectedly posted beautiful wedding photos overflowing with happiness beside female singer Jessica Betts. The astonishment of the public did not stem from her taking another step, but from the fact that no one had ever heard a whisper about her having feelings for someone of the same sex. Facing rapid-fire questions from the media about how long she had hidden this, Nisi gave an answer carrying the stature of a philosopher. "I didn't come out of anywhere. I went deep into myself." Through the lens of psychological analysis. This is an incredibly great manifesto about the evolution of the soul. It shatters all prejudices, assuming that changing sexual orientation in middle age is a lie in the past. To audiences who have stepped through many ups and downs of human life, the story of Niecy Nash Betts brings an invisible liberation. It reminds us that maturity is not a static destination, but a relentless journey exploring the deepest corners of the heart. She did not try to redefine herself, did not label her sexual orientation, but simply allowed herself to fall in love with a kindred soul. The brave act of stepping over all barriers of age, gender, and social judgments to grasp true happiness by Niecy is a brilliant testament to the fact that it is never too late for us to live honestly with our own vibrations, and genuine love always has a way to bloom in moments we least expect. Billy Porter. Billy Porter is not just an actor or a singer. He is a force of nature, a fashion icon who has used his own body and glamorous outfits to smash all walls of gender prejudice on the most prestigious red carpets on the planet. Yet behind that brilliant sparkle and towering proud demeanor is a life forged from the ultimate pains of a dark era. Born and raised in a working-class neighborhood in Pittsburgh, in a devout family with incredibly strict doctrines, Billy early on realized his own difference from the age of 16. For a black boy, carrying a homosexual orientation in a conservative church environment was like bearing a life sentence of rejection. Stepping into the theatrical art world, he continued to face an entertainment industry full of discrimination, where coming out as gay meant being stripped of all opportunities to shine. The darkest period in Billy Porter's life was around 2007, when tragedies continuously struck in a cruel manner. He fell into bankruptcy, contracted diabetes, and collapsed utterly upon receiving a positive HIV result, a death sentence carrying the most horrific stigma of society at the time. From a sociological perspective, Billy's silence and concealment throughout those years was not cowardice, but a tear-soaked battle for survival. The Hollywood industry at that time was incredibly hypocritical. They craved the talent of black artists, but forced them to squeeze themselves into toxic, masculine molds, forcing them to completely erase their identity in exchange for the halo. There were times he felt as if he had collapsed entirely under the weight of humiliation and loneliness. But like a phoenix reborn from the ashes, Billy Porter chose to stand up and resist a world that had once rejected him. His historic role in the series Pose not only brought him the prestigious Emmy Award, but was also an anthem liberating all frustrations suppressed for decades. Billy no longer chose to come out of the closet hesitantly. He personally smashed that closet to pieces. For the older generation of audiences, his life is a costly lesson about the intense vitality of a human being. He proved that the highest glory does not lie in compromising to be accepted by the world, but lies in daring to take the most painful scars of one's life to weave into proud royal robes. Billy Porter turned trauma into eternal strength, teaching humanity a profound lesson about the right to exist proudly and brilliantly. Laverne Cox. When Laverne Cox appeared and shone brilliantly through her historic role in the series Orange is the New Black, she did not merely create a turning point for her personal acting career. She truly and permanently changed the historical flow of the Hollywood entertainment industry. However, before she could enjoy the halo and be admired by the whole world as a symbol of courage, Laverne had to go through a long, endless journey tinged with tears and full of harsh rejections. Born in Mobile, Alabama, a region in the American South famous for its conservative ideologies and deep prejudices, Laverne's childhood was days submerged in confusion, fear, and cruel psychological abuse. The feeling of being imprisoned in a biological body that did not belong to her, amidst an environment where the word transgender did not even exist in a humane way, was a torture that eroded the mind. Her journey stepping into art was an uncompromising war with a system inherently designed to exclude her. Through the lens of intersectional power analysis, Laverne Cox had to face an incredibly harsh triple barrier. She is a woman, she is a black person, and she is a transgender person. For many years, casting directors heartlessly slammed doors in her face because they could not or deliberately would not look past the outdated gender shell to recognize her true talent. Laverne's persistent clinging to the entertainment industry during those years of being shunned required not only outstanding talent, but also steel mental strength. Having to hide deep traumas to continuously knock on every opportunity's door is a sorrowful testament showing that minority artists always have to strive hundreds of thousands of times harder than normal people, just in exchange for a chance to be seen. Her appearance on the cover of Time magazine with the historic headline, "The Transgender Tipping Point," was a great moment, a worthy reward for the countless bitternesses she had endured. For the first time, a black transgender actress was nominated for a prestigious Emmy Award, shattering all invisible boundaries that had existed for centuries. To audiences who have experienced many barriers in life, Laverne Cox brings a highly inspiring philosophy. When the world does not prepare a seat for you, build a chair yourself, and if necessary, build a new table yourself. Her life is an epic anthem about self-determining one's fate, proving that the true beauty of a person only shines when they dare to kick down all prejudices to bravely live true to the physical form and soul they desire. Colman Domingo. Among character actors in Hollywood, Colman Domingo is honored as a master of storytelling art, a talented artist possessing the ability to touch the deepest layers of a character's emotions. From gritty roles in Fear the Walking Dead, the explosion in Euphoria to historic peak performances like in Rustin, he always exudes an aura of calmness, erudition, and profound thoughtfulness. In contrast to the usual noise and glamour of showbiz, Colman's roots are planted deep in the working class in Philadelphia. It was that humble background that forged in him a solid bravery, a serious artistic working attitude, indifferent to vain illusions of fame. For a long time, he chose to operate in the arts, quietly using all his heart to dedicate himself to theatrical stages and absolutely protecting his inner world from the flashing lights of the paparazzi. The discretion in Colman Domingo's personal life was not intentional hiding or covering up the truth due to an inferiority complex. It stemmed from a highly sophisticated mindset and absolute respect for art. He understood that in an industry that often tends to label and box in, actors publicly announcing his sexuality too early could cause his talent to be limited to stereotypical roles. From a sociological viewpoint, Colman's journey was an evolution full of academic nature rather than a media explosion. The appearance of his life partner, Raul Domingo, whom he accidentally met through a Craigslist ad and married in 2014, is a beautifully modern love story, incredibly simple and sincere. He never hid Raul, but also never used his relationship as a launchpad to generate attention. To the class of older audiences who cherish values with depth, how Colman Domingo faces his identity and love brings deep admiration. He elegantly proved that sexuality is just a small piece creating a complete human being. It is not the entire identity, nor is it something to be used to price one's capabilities. Through an honorable, calm presence and the demeanor of a true gentleman, Colman silently created an incredibly safe and highly self-respecting space for the next generation of gay black actors. He left a precious philosophical legacy. You do not need to shout for the world to know who you are. Outstanding talent and kindness in how you live every day will be the most powerful and echoing manifesto. Jussie Smollett. Before being swept into the vortex of shocking legal scandals and prejudiced media headlines, Jussie Smollett was once considered one of the brightest and most promising television stars in America. With romantic looks, a charming smile, and multifaceted talent, he shot to fame as a phenomenon when taking on the role of Jamal Lyon in the television blockbuster Empire. This role not only took Jussie's name to the peak of fame, but also carried an incredibly massive historical weight. It was one of the rare times on primetime television that audiences witnessed the thorny journey of a gay black musician having to brace himself to fight to win recognition from his very own biological father and a hip-hop industry famous for its harsh gender discrimination. The strange harmony between the character Jamal and Jussie's real life created a magnetic allure, making him a new icon of the community. Born into a large family that was always close-knit and supportive of one another, Jussie inherently had artistic blood flowing through his veins. Yet the path for a black male actor to admit a homosexual orientation in Hollywood had never been paved with roses. Through the lens of media power analysis, Jussie's silence in the early years of his career is a clear testament showing the invisible but massive pressure of an entertainment industry that always upheld toxic masculinity. He understood that labeling himself too early could cause him to lose diverse acting opportunities and be confined to minority roles. Therefore, he chose to remain silent, letting rumors buzz across newspaper pages, using that very mystery as a protective shield for his rising career. It wasn't until 2015, in an incredibly sincere and open conversation with legendary host Ellen DeGeneres backstage, that Jussie gently shed all burdens. He affirmed with a highly natural and calm attitude, "There was never a closet that I've been in." This statement carries an incredibly profound philosophy, completely shattering the prejudice that coming out must be a shocking event or a tear-soaked confession. Jussie wanted to convey a powerful message that his love was a natural thing, needing no justification or explanation. Despite the highly controversial legal troubles that overshadowed his image later on, we cannot deny a historical truth. The moment Jussie Smollett proudly admitted who he was, truly broke the most solid walls of prejudice. He opened a new era where subsequent generations of black actors have the right to dream and be proud of their identity on the small screen, a cultural legacy that cannot be erased. Nkuti Gatwa. Nkuti Gatwa is a highly rare acting phenomenon, a male actor possessing the ability to light up every frame with explosive energy, ultimate charm, and a flexible, unpredictable acting style. Born in Rwanda, a country that went through much trauma, and raised in Scotland, Nkuti's journey to touch the peak of fame is like a modern fairy tale. When he transcendently embodied the role of Eric Effiong in the hit teen series Sex Education, the whole world seemed to awaken. The astonishing similarity between Eric and Nkuti, both being young black men, gay, brilliant, and always yearning for recognition, created a performance that touched the hearts of millions of audiences globally. This is considered a perfect cycle of art where actor and character merge into one to tell a story about freedom. However, before he could confidently stride on the red carpet as a global icon, Nkuti had to face countless deep wounds brought on by discrimination. For a long time, he felt he was completely invisible, a superfluous existence, a gay black youth pushed to the margins in spaces that inherently were not designed for him. Through the lens of psychology, the connection between Nkuti and the character, Eric was not just a career serendipity, but an invaluable inner healing therapy. This role gave him a great privilege, the right to express the most genuine emotions, the right to hurt to love, and above all, the right to exist proudly. In 2023, in an incredibly authentic and touching moment, Nkuti officially confirmed his sexuality, affirming that the character Eric himself taught him how to cherish and love himself more. To mature audiences, the journey of Nkuti Gatwa is a beautiful lesson about self-healing and the power of pop art. His greatness did not stop at breaking barriers in sex education, but was pushed to a new height when he officially entered British art history, becoming the first black gay actor to take on the legendary role of Doctor Who. This is a resounding victory of cultural integration, smashing all conservative concepts of heroic figures on screen. Nkuti Gatwa proves that a person's presence does not need to be loud or scream to demand rights. His outstanding talent, radiant confidence, and always sunny smile are already the most powerful manifesto about equal rights, endlessly inspiring a generation of young artists yearning to be themselves. Karamo Brown. Before being known to the whole world and honored as a psychological master, an incredibly warm and sophisticated culture expert on the hit reality TV show Queer Eye, Karamo Brown was a young man who had to struggle with internal storms to find a voice for himself. Turning the wheel of time back to 2004, an era where the concept of inclusivity and respecting gender diversity LGBTQ+ in mass media was still something incredibly luxurious and full of stigma. At that time, Karamo etched his name into television history when becoming the first openly gay black man to appear on a reality TV show named The Real World Philadelphia on MTV. In his 20s, his appearance did not carry the color of a grand political manifesto, but simply an intense desire to live as authentically as possible with his identity before millions of television viewers. However, following the flow of time and cognitive maturity, Karamo personally built a profoundly humane ideology, creating a revolutionary change in language. Through the lens of linguistic analysis, he vehemently opposed and refused to use the phrase coming out, a concept he believed carried heavy passivity and devalued oneself. Karamo argued forcefully that when you come out, you inadvertently hand others the supreme power to judge, accept, or shun you. Instead, he proposed an incredibly noble and proactive concept: inviting people in. When you open the door to invite someone into your world, you are the master of the game, the master of the story, and the master of your life. This profound philosophy not only reshaped how the community viewed publicizing oneself, but it also became the guiding compass for Karamo's entire life philosophy. In Queer Eye, Karamo does not merely do the work of changing appearances or providing superficial psychological counseling. With profound empathy, he uses the very tear-soaked scars of his past, the persistent battles with depression, the hidden corners in his journey as a single father, to break the shell of fear and guilt of the program's participants. To older audiences, Karamo Brown is the embodiment of compassionate wisdom. He is not just an entertainment star. He has become a symbol of healing, an inspiring teacher about the value of self-esteem. By bravely inviting the whole world to step into the darkest hidden corners of his life, Karamo lit a blazing torch, giving millions of lost souls a great privilege: the right to forgive themselves and the right to love themselves in the most complete way. Lena Waithe is the most vivid and brilliant proof of the truth. Steadfastness with one's authentic identity is precisely the most powerful chariot that can take you to peaks no cookie-cutter script could ever write. Taking on 3 heavyweight roles simultaneously, screenwriter, producer, and actress Lena always radiates an aura of authority and uncompromising bluntness about her identity. But to achieve that self-possession and proud demeanor, she had to go through a long, endless journey full of prejudices. Born in Chicago in 1984, the flame of passion for storytelling burned in Lena's soul from childhood. Growing up with television sitcoms, she always harbored a fierce desire that one day she would personally create her own television world. However, upon touching the glamorous gates of Hollywood, she was quickly disillusioned when realizing the cruelty of this industry toward a woman who is both black and has a homosexual orientation. Through the lens of sociological analysis, Hollywood is a machine that crushes difference, always trying to trim minority artists so they fit into aesthetic standards determined by white people. But instead of panicking, shrinking back, or accepting wearing a fake mask to easily advance, Lena Waithe chose to resist by charging straight ahead. In 2017, she shattered all barriers and permanently etched her name into the annals of world art when becoming the first black woman to win the prestigious Emmy Award for Outstanding Writing for a Comedy Series. This great victory came from the episode Thanksgiving in the series Master of None, a television masterpiece distilled from the very painful, tearing, and tear-soaked experiences during her process of coming out to her biological mother. To audiences who have tasted many ups and downs, Lena Waithe's work is not a fairy tale that sugarcoats the truth. It is an incredibly authentic, raw film full of contradictions, but overflowing with profound family love. From the moment she stepped onto the peak of glory, Lena Waithe did not rest on her laurels. Rather, she used her immense power and influence to become a locomotive breaking down systemic barriers. She continuously produced and penned hit projects like The Chi or 20s, resolutely bringing black gay characters from faint background positions straight into the center position of every story, shining brilliantly under the stage lights. Lena Waithe teaches us a priceless lesson about autonomy. When you have the courage to tell your own story with absolute honesty, you not only change your life, but you are also rebuilding the entire order of an industry. Samira Wiley. In an entertainment world full of calculation and glamorous masks, Samira Wiley appears like a resilient flower, carrying a rustic beauty and a deeply profound acting talent. Graduating from the world's most prestigious art school, Juilliard, Samira quickly left a deep mark in the hearts of global audiences through the role of Pussy Washington in the television blockbuster Orange is the New Black. Born in Washington, D.C., in a family where her parents were progressive ministers who pioneered leading one of the rare churches to open its arms to welcome the LGBTQ+ community. One would think that with a family foundation overflowing with such love and understanding, the path for her to live true to her identity in Hollywood would be paved with roses. Yet the reality of the entertainment industry is much more cruel and complex. For young actors on the rise, building a career, the fear of being boxed into minority roles is always a massive psychological ghost, forcing them to be careful in every word they speak. The deepest tragedy and trauma struck Samira not from the prejudice of the audience, but came from an incredibly cruel act of stripping away privacy. Right at the peak of attention, a person in her professional circle unilaterally publicized her sexual orientation to the media without any permission whatsoever. Through the lens of sociological analysis for audiences who have tasted enough of the ups and downs of human life, the act of forcing someone out of the closet is an ultimate violation of human rights and dignity. It is an act of robbing an individual of the most sacred right to self-determination over their own life story. This shock left Samira with profound mental traumas, making her feel out of control and betrayed. It exposes a painful truth of the media era. Sometimes people are ready to trample on a person's peace just in exchange for a few sensational, senseless news lines on newspaper pages. However, what makes the greatness of Samira Wiley is exactly how she strongly stood up from the utmost depths of humiliation to reclaim mastery of her fate. Instead of letting herself sink into anger or panic, she turned that forced incident into a launchpad to live in the most brilliant and proud way possible. She married the talented female screenwriter Lauren Morelli, turning their romance into one of the most beautiful and inspiring symbols in Hollywood. Samira once shared an incredibly deep philosophy. Coming out brought her a priceless privilege, which is the right to breathe peacefully. Samira Wiley's story teaches us a poignant lesson about self-respect. No matter how cruelly the world strips away your privacy, only you have the right to decide the ending for your own story. With sincere love and steadfastness, she extinguished all noisy gossip, creating an eternal, peaceful haven for her very own soul. Michaela J. M.J. Rodriguez. Michaela J.A. Rodriguez, or affectionately called MJ by the public, permanently etched her name into the annals of world cinematic art with a kind smile, incredibly warm eyes, and an extraordinary will to live. Born in Newark, New Jersey, MJ revealed artistic talent from very early on and made relentless efforts to study at the prestigious Berkeley School. Yet the artistic path for a black transgender woman has never been a melodious piece of music. In the first years of her career, she continuously had to face cold shakes of the head from casting directors. Through the lens of analyzing the intersection of power, the Hollywood industry at the time was covered by a thick fog of outdated prejudices. They could not or deliberately refuse to look past the gender shell to recognize her true talent. That continuous rejection was not a measure of MJ's capability, but it reflected the poverty in the thinking of an entertainment system full of barriers. There were moments when overwhelming despair made MJ wonder if this world had a place for her at all. But then, destiny knocked on the door with the television blockbuster Pose, a work that truly changed the entire trajectory of her life and the awareness of the global public. Embodying the character, Blanca Rodriguez Evangelista MJ was not just acting. She was spinning silk from her own gut, bringing the very love, tolerance, and also the pains of a mother protecting orphaned children on the margins of society onto the screen. This role touched the deepest layer of compassion in the hearts of millions of older audiences, those who always understand the great power of maternal love and sacrifice. MJ used her outstanding talent to force the world to bow in respect, proving that transgender people are not caricature models. They are human beings with full dignity, pride, and the capacity for boundless love. The historic moment burst with joy when MJ Rodriguez became the first transgender actress in history to win the prestigious Golden Globe Award. Standing at the peak of glory, her speech did not carry the color of hatred or resentment toward the past, but it was an incredibly noble and pure message. She yearned for the world to see people through the lens of love rather than through senseless labels. To experienced audiences, the journey of MJ Rodriguez is a magnificent epic about the intense vitality of a lotus flower rising from the mud. She used her very own gentleness, caring nature, and outstanding talent to smash all the most solid walls of prejudice. MJ not only opened a door of hope for thousands of young transgender people, but she also taught all of humanity a profound lesson about kindness, tolerance, and the miraculous healing power of true art. Alex Newell. Alex Newell is an explosive musical phenomenon, possessing a rare, powerful voice with enough strength to shake any space and pierce through every heart. Starting to attract global attention through their role in the hit musical series Glee, Alex quickly affirmed themselves as a precious gem with transcendent singing ability. However, behind that radiant confidence and those proud, soaring high notes was a long journey searching for healing and defining an identity full of childhood scratches. Growing up in Massachusetts, Alex had to endure ultimate pain upon losing their beloved father from a very young age. To a tender soul, that emptiness was a bottomless abyss, and it was precisely in the darkest corners of loss that young Alex found the only life preserver of their life, the choirs in church and the school theatrical stages. Music was not just a passion. It became a method of survival, a safe haven for them to shed all sorrows. However, when the professional stage lights shined, Alex had to face a completely new battle: the scrutiny of the public and relentless questions about gender identity. Through the lens of human philosophy for audiences over the age of 45, concepts like non-binary or gender fluid might be incredibly new terms and sometimes difficult to accept. But through Alex's story, we understand that it is not an impulsive trend of the youth, but it is an urgent need of the soul wanting to be liberated from the cramped boxes that society has imposed for thousands of years. Alex bravely declared that gender is not a rigid mold to bind people, but it is a free, colorful, and diverse life experience. Their comfortable use of different pronouns is a stern affirmation of the right to exist wholly without needing to trim oneself to fit anyone's expectations. The peak of glory and absolute recognition came to Alex Newell in 2023 when they created a historic earthquake on the Broadway theatrical stage. Winning the prestigious Tony Award for their role in the play, Shucked Alex became one of the first openly non-binary artists to touch this powerful golden statuette. Their acceptance speech was a moment bursting with emotion, an ultimate tribute to individualism and the power of steadfastness. To those who have spent their entire lives following harsh rules, Alex's victory is an incredibly powerful ray of awakening light. It brings a universal message. Only when a person dares to throw away all masks, bravely embracing their own truth, no matter how different it is it then that true talent can take flight. Alex Newell not only rewrote theatrical history, but also rewrote the definition of the priceless freedom of a human life. Jeremy Pope. Jeremy Pope is the embodiment of a multi-talented generation of artists, a rare phenomenon possessing the ability to perfectly balance singing, theatrical acting, and exploding on the big screen. Born in Orlando, Florida, he personally built a solid career foundation from theatrical stages before crossing over into television and cinematic blockbusters like Hollywood Pose or The Inspection. His career on the surface seems to be paved with roses, but hidden behind those halos is a persistent and sweat-soaked battle against one of Hollywood's most toxic and enduring prejudices: underlying homophobia. Even though the entertainment industry always preaches openness in the shadows of casting rooms, the truth is incredibly cruel. Jeremy once bitterly shared about continuously losing countless important roles simply because filmmakers deemed him to have looks, a voice, or gestures that were too gay to take on traditional masculine characters. From a sociological, analytical perspective, this is an invisible and extremely absurd punishment for an actor. Being rejected not for a lack of talent, but because of the authenticity of one's identity, is a deep insult to human dignity. It pushes the artist into a state of extreme self-doubt, making them wonder if they have to trim, shrink back, or even pretend to be someone else to survive in the profession. However, instead of choosing cowardly compromise, Jeremy Pope made a landmark decision. He resolutely refused to shrink himself. He proactively sought out and transformed into complex characters representing multidimensional gay men with psychological depth, refusing to be turned into bland caricatures on screen. The pinnacle of this artistic resistance was his transcendent role in the film The Inspection, where he embodied a young man joining the Marines after being abandoned by his own biological mother because of his sexual orientation. That was not just a role, but a raw, deeply tearing and agonizing psychological experience. In a profound interview, Jeremy shared a priceless philosophy. "I've spent too much time trying to shrink myself. Now I am constantly expanding." To older audiences, this message carries an immensely massive awakening power. It reminds us of the tragedy of living a cramped life just to please the prejudices of others. Jeremy Pope's career is brilliant proof that greatness never comes from trying to be like someone else, but comes from bravely blooming, occupying the entire space the Creator bestowed upon your true authentic self. Inja Moore brings us a story of survival and extraordinary overcoming of adversity, a vivid testament to the immortal inner strength of human beings. Born in the Bronx slums to a family of mixed Puerto Rican and Dominican heritage, India's childhood was a series of days full of tearing struggles. When deep vibrations about gender began to sprout instead of receiving shelter and protection from their parents, India stumbled upon the wall of cruel rejection. Through the lens of sociological analysis for a child, the family is supposed to be the most solid fortress, but blind prejudice sometimes turns the very home into a place full of trauma. Leaving the family at the age of 14 to fend for themselves amidst the harsh vortex of making a living, India had to learn how to personally bandage their own emotional wounds, turning abandonment into the motivation to survive and create a new life. The great turning point only truly arrived when India crossed paths with art and shone brightly through the role of Angel Evangelista in the blockbuster Pose. Embodying the character, India was not just acting, but was recounting the very epic of their own life. Publicly identifying as non-binary and transgender was not just a personal affirmation, but a stern manifesto sent to the whole world. The iconic quote, "My identity is not up for debate. It is my reality," carries a profoundly deep philosophical weight. For audiences who have tasted enough of life's flavors, this message is an awakening. It reminds us that the right to be human and have one's identity recognized has never been a favor for society to bestow, but it is an inviolable truth. India used their very own proud presence to smash all the narrow boxes of prejudice that society intentionally created. More than an entertainment star, India Moore has risen to become a lighthouse of courage, a tireless social activist for the rights of vulnerable lives. With their influence, India continuously speaks up to challenge deeply rooted inequality in Hollywood, demanding true respect rather than charitable privileges. India's journey teaches us a priceless lesson about self-respect. Your presence on this earth does not need anyone's permission. Bravely living true to your own truth, even if the world turns its back, is the greatest form of resistance and the most solid foundation for building a genuine happiness that lasts forever with time. Angelica Ross. Angelica Ross always radiates a quiet power, but has the ability to pierce through all barriers, an aura that can only be distilled from the fiercest life and death battles of a human life. Growing up in the state of Wisconsin in a Christian family, carrying heavily conservative ideologies, Angelica's journey to find her true physical form was a path paved with thorns and tears. Coming out as transgender in such an environment was like personally stripping away all of one's own privileges and safety. Rejection from blood relatives in the community pushed her into an incredibly tragic situation, forcing her to rebuild everything from an absolute zero. From a psychological perspective, traumas from abandonment will often knock down a person's will. But for Angelica, adversity was the very crucible that created an unbreakable diamond will. Instead of collapsing or waiting for a miracle from society's dispensation, Angelica personally cleared her own path with sharp intellect. She taught herself programming, stepped into the technology field inherently dominated by men, and founded TransTech Social Enterprises. This organization was born with a highly humane mission, handing a fishing rod and job opportunities to transgender people marginalized by society. Angelica's life philosophy carries an incredibly grand stature that anyone who has ever been through storms must bow in respect to. If the world does not prepare a seat for you at the party, build a new table yourself. She did not only find a way to live for herself, but also turned back to uplift and guide thousands of other dark lives, turning injustice into motivation to create practical values for humanity. When stepping into art through lifetime roles in Pose, an American Horror Story, Angelica brought all her life experience, intellect, and the most complex psychological hidden corners onto the screen. Her characters are never superficial molds. They are vibrant, torn, and full of humanity, forcing audiences to change how they view the transgender community. Through cinema, she continues to use her authoritative voice to demand fairness and the most basic respect for human beings. The life of Angelica Ross is a heroic epic about self-reliance, reminding the generation of mature audiences that the peak of greatness lies not only in you overcoming the storm, but lies in the fact that after going through the tempest, you used your very own scarred hands to shelter and light up hope for those who follow. Dylan Burnside. Dylan Burnside grew up in a strict religious environment in Florida where conservative dogmas permeated every aspect of life. Right from early childhood, the tender soul of the boy Dylan was infected with a toxic ideology that same-sex vibrations were a heinous sin that could not be forgiven by the above. Through the lens of analyzing personality development, a child having to grow up in fear of their very self is an incredibly cruel mental torture. It forces people to build fake masks, continuously judge themselves, and deny the truest emotions of the heart. To seek peace, Dylan borrowed music as an escape, using hymns in church as a sanctuary for his soul, before boldly stepping to the capital of light, New York, to pursue burning artistic aspirations. Dylan's career and life only truly turned to a new, more brilliant and freer page when he took on the role of Ricky Evangelista in the historic television work Pose. The character Ricky, a black youth floundering to find love and acceptance in a world full of prejudice, was the perfect mirror reflecting Dylan's torn youth. Through immersing himself in the role, Dylan found a massive internal source of power, helping him gain enough courage to shed fear and face his true identity. He once confided a highly profound philosophy. "I used to think I had to force myself to fit into someone else's box. Now I realize I was never born to be in any box." To audiences who have had to brace themselves to live according to society's expectations, this sharing is an invisible untying, bringing a feeling of ultimate relief. From a humanistic philosophical perspective, Dylan Burnside's journey is a great reconciliation between religious faith and the truth of the ego. He used his very own public platform to spread an incredibly beautiful message about self-compassion and tolerance. He proves to us that a person can absolutely maintain faith in the Supreme Being while still being proud and boastful about their sexual orientation. True religion must be the origin of unconditional love, not a tool to sow fear and discrimination. Dylan's story is a gentle yet poignant reminder for us all. Living honestly with oneself is the most reverent form of prayer, and only when we know how to love ourselves completely can we feel the brilliant beauty of this life. Brian Michael Smith. The appearance of Brian Michael Smith on the television screen always carries an incredibly special aura. Calm, solid, masculine, and full of confidence. But to attain that authoritative demeanor and brilliant halo, this actor had to go through a highly grueling journey of molding himself. Born in Ann Arbor, Michigan, Brian early on showed an intense love for the art of storytelling. However, throughout his childhood years, he always felt out of place and unsteady when looking at the small screen and never finding any figure that truly reflected his experiences and soul. Stepping onto the professional acting path, he chose to keep his identity as a transgender man a secret because he understood the cruelty of this industry. A Hollywood that constantly preaches about diversity, but in reality always shies away from truths that go against traditional gender norms. The decision to step into the light in 2017 while participating in the drama series Queen Sugar was not only a personal event, but it was a historic milestone, shifting the awareness of an entire industry. Brian Michael Smith understood that the burden of concealment was eroding his soul every day, and only the truth would give him wings to fly high. Through the lens of sociological analysis, Brian's courage permanently smashed the prejudice that transgender actors could only take on tragic, one-dimensional or stereotypical roles. He proudly etched his name into top-rated television projects like 911 Lone Star or the L-Word Generation Q, bringing audiences the image of a black transgender man who is incredibly complex, multidimensional, and full of magnetism. He did not let his identity become a barrier, but used it to expand the creative limits of art. The legacy of Brian Michael Smith carries an immensely massive philosophical weight for the development of mass media. He deeply understands that appearing honorably on national television is not only his own glory, but it carries a life or death meaning for countless black transgender people struggling out there. His image proved that they are whole human beings capable of contributing and deserving of absolute respect. Brian does not wish to be remembered only as the first person to break prejudices, but he yearns to become a solid trailblazer, ensuring that he will never be the last person granted an opportunity. His life is an epic about steadfastness, teaching us that when we dare to live fully with our truth, we are not only free, but we are also silently creating a more tolerant world for future generations. LZ Granderson, not operating in the glamorous field of acting, but LZ Granderson is a true star, carrying the power of words, an authoritative voice, and rare wisdom on top media channels like ESPN and CNN. His journey is a highly complex puzzle about the intersection of factors, race, sexual orientation, and the shaping of masculinity in American culture. Especially, the sports world has long been considered the most solid fortress of toxic, masculine standards, where unwritten rules about toughness often leave no room for the existence of the LGBTQ+ community. The fact that a black openly gay man became a sharp sports analyst is a phenomenon shattering all cognitive barriers, forcing society to reconsider its outdated prejudices. Granderson's courage does not lie in shocking declarations. It shines brightest in the way he uses his platform to protect what is right. When former NBA athlete Jason Collins created historic shockwaves by coming out, LZ did not just play the role of an objective reporting journalist, but he became a solid shield, a true teammate, using sharp arguments to encourage and protect Collins against the wave of criticism. From a humanistic philosophical perspective, the pen and commentaries of LZ Granderson have a higher damage power than any weapon. He continuously challenges the suffocating molds of how a black man in America should behave. He points out that true strength is not measured by muscle or aggression, but it is measured by the courage to dare stand up to protect the truth and live true to one's heart. Through a philosophical lens, L.Z. Granderson's messages carry a timeless value for a mature generation of audiences. He once emphasized that visibility does not mean having to scream. It is you standing firm on your stance and living honestly. This conclusion carries a beautifully calm and erudite grace. He proved with his very own life that a person can absolutely love sports, be passionate about strength, hold firm to religious faith, and at the same time be incredibly proud of being gay. He breaks the polarization of society, teaching the younger generation that human identity is a multicolored painting, not just black and white. L.Z. Granderson leaves a great legacy of integrity, proving that courage and authenticity are the noblest qualities which never go out of style, no matter how the world changes. Closing 25 stories within the halo. We understand even more deeply that the noblest value of a person does not lie in glossy titles, but in the resilient courage to protect their authentic ego against countless prejudices. We wish you to always keep peace in your soul and have truly warm moments filled with laughter beside your beloved family. If this video brought you meaningful reflections, please hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell to continue accompanying our memory vault. Goodbye, and see you again.